Welcome to Today in Prophecy Daily News in 15 minutes or less, news from the perspective of the Bible. And thank you for joining us. And by the way, I want to say I am finished with jury duty. I have served my duty. Only had to go in for one day. I wasn't selected to be a juror. Imagine that. Hey, let's get going. Lots to talk about here. The Palestinian Authority condemns Jerusalem Food Truck Festival as cultural Judaization. Wow. And get this, Ring, you press the doorbell, Ring, get the video going. Ring launching flying spy drone that monitors home from the air. Imagine that, a spy drone from up above. I tell you, we live in amazing days. And AOC's office is vandalized, get this, by pro-Palestine protesters. That ought to be a you can't make this up story, and much more. I'm going to get there in just a second. But hey, first of all, I want to just remind you, come on out to Santa Barbara, California. If you're in the area, August 9, Saturday, James Cadiz is going to be there, along with Brandon Holthouse, David Tao, James Panafino is going to be doing video from New York. I will be there. It's going to be an outstanding conference coming up August 9th in Santa Barbara, California. Also coming up on August 3, just about a week and a half away, I'm going to be in Temecula, California at 412 Church in Temecula, myself and David Tao, and I'm going to be talking about, well, it's not behind me, but I'm going to be talking about Israel, what's going on. I have a new book out, Israel's Place in God's Eternal Plan, and I want to help people connect the dots. But what I really want to deal with is things like, is Israel really the occupier? What is a colonizer? They're constantly accused of being a colonizer, the synagogue of Satan, and on down the rest of these paths. But I want to take those things apart, look at the Rothschilds protocol, and I want to work through some things to help people really get an understanding and be able to equip everybody. And we're also going to have a Q&A. David Towell's going to be joining me too. We're going to go back and forth. We're going to take your questions live right there. Again, that's coming up in Temecula, California on August 3. And if you can't be there in person, that's okay. It will be live streamed. All right, well, let's get going with some of the news. Check this first one out. As we look at what's going on in Syria, and as Christians are being slaughtered, the Druze are being slaughtered. Unbelievable what is taking place there. And of course, what happens? The IDF is there. The Druze are saying, please come and rescue us from these radical terrorists who are literally slaughtering us. I'm not sure if you've seen that. What does the UN have to say? Check this out. Antonio Guterres, you can see it there on the screen. It is imperative to support a credible, orderly, and inclusive political transition in Syria. In other words, we don't want Israel coming and saving the people from a slaughter. We want this new terrorist organization to just have full control in Syria. But that's not all, he said. At the top of that post from Antonio Guterres, he said this: I'm alarmed by continued escalation of violence in Syria and unequivocally condemn all violence against civilians. I condemn Israel's escalation, airstrikes, and reports of the IDF's redeployment of forces in the Golan. I call for an immediate cessation of all violations of Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity. This is crazy. So basically, the leader of the UN is saying, hey, I condemn Israel coming to rescue people who are being slaughtered. Let us slaughter them ourselves. That's really what he's saying. Stay out of our way, Israel, as there's a real genocide going on there in the area of Syria. UN is saying, stay away. Don't protect these people. We don't want to protect it. Oh, by the way, Israel, look at the genocide you are committing in Gaza. What lies those are. Unbelievable. But this is the same leader, Antonio Guterres of the UN, who said that Jerusalem needs to be de-Judaized. With that, check this out. Ben-Gvir says, assassinate Syrian leader al-Shara. He was al-Jalani, put on a suit, changed his name to al-Shara. Listen, he's an evil man. You look at the things that are taking place in Syria right now, and you have world leaders on the West in the Trump administration that have wanted to make nice with him and say, you can even trust him. Marco Rubio, a week or two ago, said, hey, everything's going to be okay with Syria. Let's remove sanctions. And this is what happens. Listen, you can put a suit on this guy. He's still a terrorist. Out of the abundance of the heart comes murder. And the UN is standing by his side and saying, let him murder the people. You stay away from here. Israel, absolutely wicked. But nevertheless, we're hearing this more and more from people in Israel that are saying, hey, he needs to be assassinated. And then, as we look at this too, check this out. This is out of Florida. Florida betrayed CARES, get this, look at this, CARES Muslim Heritage Month resolution passes with GOP support. This, my friends, is really something else. Florida's Republican-led legislature has officially surrendered to the strategic Islamization of the state by endorsing Muslim American Heritage Month, a resolution crafted by far-left radicals that whitewashes Islamic history, glorifies Hamas-linked figures, and hands CARE and political Islam another significant victory in a red state. We expect these things on the coast, the left coast and the east coast. You would expect something like this in California, Oregon, or Washington, New York, New Jersey. You would expect something like that out there. But then here it is in Florida. Florida, long considered a stronghold of conservative values and American patriotism, has officially bowed to the strategic Islamization of its institutions in a disgraceful bipartisan capitulation. Both chambers of the Florida legislature have adopted resolutions declaring May 2025 as Muslim American Heritage Month. What's being hailed as a historic by far left Islamic leaders is in fact a glaring symptom of Florida's ideological collapse and a warning shot to every red state in America. I think we need to let that sink in. As we see this guy running for mayor in New York City, looks like he's going to get it, and we see the dynamics of anti-Semitism increasing, coming under a different disguise. I want you to think of these words, all right? This is from Deuteronomy, and again, we do news with the perspective from the Bible. Deuteronomy chapter 4, beginning in verse 30, God says this to the people of Israel, and he's speaking to the last days. We know it's the last days because he puts it into context. He says, when you are in distress, and all these things come upon you in the latter days. Again, Deuteronomy chapter 4, beginning in verse 30. When you turn to the Lord your God and obey his voice, for the Lord your God is a merciful God, he will not forsake you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers which he swore to them. As we look at this and we just work through it, listen to the words. Again, these are in the latter days, so we know it's already put into the context of days that we live in now. Okay, we got that. And then he says this, when you are in distress. God is saying this is a fact. He doesn't say if you are in distress. In the last days, he's saying when you are in distress. And all these things come upon you. When you turn to the Lord. He doesn't say if you turn to the Lord. He says when you turn to the Lord your God and obey his voice. So again, the last days, he says when you're in this distress. In fact, the King James Bible says when you are in tribulation. We do know biblically as we start to put things together, Israel is going to be isolated, hence the rise of anti-Semitism, which is a clue for us to realize the days on which we live. Christian persecution is increasing for those who are genuine believers, the mocking and scoffing of those who believe in Bible prophecy, and the rise of anti-Semitism. All of these things happening now. Okay, so God says, when you are in tribulation in the last days, Israel's going to be isolated. It's going to become more and more difficult. And then he says this, when you turn to the Lord, not if you turn to the Lord, when you turn to the Lord and when you obey his voice. We do know this from Daniel chapter 12, for example. God says, I will shatter the power of the holy people. I'll shatter, he's talking about Israel and the Jews. I will shatter their power of rebellion and hardness of heart against me. I'll come against their stubbornness in their distress, in their tribulation, and I will turn their hearts to me. We know that's going to be fulfilled. Zechariah chapter 12, for example. Ezekiel chapter 36, God says, I will bring you back in the last days. And then after you've been gathered in unbelief, then I will put a new heart in you. That is still coming during the tribulation period. That is exactly what God is saying here in Deuteronomy chapter 4. And then he says in verse 31, for the Lord your God is a merciful God. He says, he will not forsake them, nor destroy Israel, nor forget the covenant of your fathers which he swore to them. God cannot forsake, he will not forsake Israel. He cannot forsake them. In their tribulation, in their trial, he will not forsake them. He will not let them be destroyed. He will not destroy them. I won't do it. I cannot forsake you. I will not destroy you. And neither will I forget the covenant that I have toward you. In fact, in Ezekiel chapter 36, God says, I will bring you back home because my name is on the covenant. This thing I have done, I made a covenant to Abraham. It was a forever covenant. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as you follow the Bible. Just being well equipped with Bible to understand the days that we live in and understand it's an everlasting covenant. God is a covenant maker and a covenant keeper. He is not a covenant breaker. He says, I will not forget the covenant that I made with your fathers, which God has sworn to them. God's going to do exactly what he says. Isaiah chapter 46, what does God say? I will fulfill all that I have determined to do. I have said it, therefore I will do it. God tells us the end from the beginning. Listen, thank you for joining me today. Make sure you join me tomorrow also for the Tom Hughes Report and my news break. Also, don't forget, August 3 in Temecula, California, August 9, Santa Barbara, California. God bless you guys.